Hello everyone, welcome to another Marvel Legends Wave review. Today we will be looking at the Puff Adder Build-A-Figure Wave. I did not pick up the Iron Man figure since he didn't have a Build-A-Figure part, and I might wait for a clearance price. So first up, let's start with my most anticipated figure from this wave, Baron von Strucker. Notice the pins on the box art here. This figure actually came out better than I think a lot of people expected. The box art shows the pins, but if you look closely here, we do have a pinless figure. I think what they did here was they took the bicep and the thighs down from the Vulcan figure, and they just kind of mashed that onto the torso from an older figure. You can feel where the Vulcan cuts are on the forearm and on the lower legs. I'm okay with that. I think this figure still looks great. I'm glad to update this old 2-pack that I still have mint on card. I think this was that face-off series from Toy Biz. I never wanted to open that, so I guess I also never had a Strucker on display, and I'm happy to get the opportunity to do that now. He looks good with other Hydra members, even though it's kind of weird. The greens are all slightly different from each other. It's kind of like a good thing and a bad thing, because in a way each of the key members stands out, but on the bad side they don't all look like they're wearing the same type of team uniform, I guess you could say. Next up is the Ultimate Captain America. New sculpt here with some really nice sculpted details. He comes with 2 head sculpts. I think this is the first time we're seeing an angry head sculpt for Captain America. I might actually mod the angry head here and give it to US Agent, a little paint. I think it'll go better with him. But this cap is going to be good for updating my old Hasbro modern figure that I have on one of my displays, but I don't think he's really the Toy Biz Ultimates cap that I was thinking of. If you look closely, you'll see what I mean with like the gray half parts that they didn't do on his pants. And then I'm kind of sick of like the red boots and red gloves, so I think I'm going to go with the browns that that original figure had. I've already seen some people give him this harness strap thing. It's kind of cool because it like looks like it goes with his shield when he has it on his back. It's kind of funny, like I just opened this thing and I'm already thinking of making changes. But speaking of that old 2-pack that we were talking about earlier, I think this figure that we got might be a nod to that old Toy Biz 2-pack, because there was the Strucker there, and this cap looks like the cap that was in that 2-pack, so I wonder if anybody else on YouTube caught that, and maybe I'm the only one. When I finish making the mods and the changes to this figure, check me out over on Instagram, and I'll post the updated looks for him. Next up we have Yelena Belova. It's a pretty cool figure that comes with a couple of guns, some smoke and blast effects. She's got a new upper torso, but unfortunately still the single jointed elbows and some old pinned legs. I'm not sure why they didn't just do the same thing with her as they did with Strucker, mix and match the parts, throw the Shriek arms and legs on here, and you'd have a perfect 10 of a figure. But anyway, the head sculpt is really good. It's spot on to some of the images that we've seen of her in the comics. We've seen some different looks, like she's got green lenses, sometimes yellow I think, but this one's good enough, works for me, fits right into the Thunderbolts team. That huge Thunderbolts display that I have is ever growing. Somehow I managed to save a spot that she's going to fit into, but I think in the long run I'm probably going to just save time. I might just leave her in the pose that I have here and put her right in my display rather than swap the parts. I think it's good enough. Next is Molecule Man. I'm not really familiar with this character. I'm going to have to read up on more about him, but I'm definitely happy to get a villain that I can put with my other heavy hitters villains display. I guess he's pretty powerful, so it's kind of cool. The baggy pants and baggy arms body that we've seen before with some new sculpted parts for the torso. I cut some channels into these effects that they gave us with him, where I thought it could be kind of cool if he held them differently, like this with the open hands. The thumbs are grabbing onto those channels that I cut. I wish we got like a more powered up head sculpt like I saw in some of the images that I googled. I might try to customize this somehow. Maybe I can add some effects to his eyes and maybe add a little paint. Overall, it's an okay figure. It matches the comic art well enough, I guess. Next is this weird version of Wonder Man. I guess some people like this look. I think it's really goofy. Wonder Man has quite a few different looks. We've seen all of these in the comics. They gave us one, I think, before, and then we've had maybe a Toy Biz one in the past that was similar. He comes with these little tiny blast effects that are supposed to attach to the hip things that are on there, but it just looks off to me. I think they should probably angle out a bit more and maybe be those longer blast effects that we've seen in the past. I think I'm going to put this guy into my West Coast Avengers display, and maybe I'll swap, and then the modern one can go into either an Avengers or my alt Avengers display that I have set up. I don't know. Swap his hands here and see how those powered up hands look. That looks okay, I guess. Yeah, I can't say I was excited for this guy. It's just whatever. I'm waiting for the mullet Wonder Man, which I think will be much cooler. And then there was this Orb Eyeball guy, Ghost Rider villain who is usually on motorcycles. This character is definitely unique. It's going to stand out on your display. It's going to catch the eye. Someone is going to see this thing in your display and go, WTF is that thing? I just hate that it's on the old mold. I get that this mold fits the character design, but that mold is so old that it feels old. Like, I had this thing in hand and I'm like, oh my god, it feels like an old figure. It doesn't feel new. It almost feels like it's broken. We've seen a few different looks for this character in the comic books, and I almost wonder if maybe we get another release for him at some point. Maybe he comes with a motorcycle. In the meantime, I think I may try to find a motorcycle that fits for him. It looks like he's usually shown on more of like the cruiser or the Harley style, not so much like the sport bikes. Lastly, we have the Build-A-Figure Puff Adder. I was really close to making this guy right before they announced him. I didn't think they were going to make this character. Kind of in a way, I thought that they were giving up on the Serpent Society. In the past, those figures haven't really done well. I love this Caliban mold. For people that follow me, they know that I've picked up a few of the Calibans, and I made a Venom and a Riot figure out of this mold. I think these proportions are awesome, especially for like bigger muscle characters. The colors that Hasbro chose are definitely in some of the images that you'll see of Puff Adder, but I don't know, I think I prefer the less bright and the more muted colors. Somehow I think he just looks meaner, especially in this image here. I hope we get more members from the Serpent Society, but I think I'm probably better off making my own. I'm probably going to get them much faster that way. I kind of like this Bushmaster that you see here, and with my team photo. Made that a few months back, and I don't know if we're ever going to get him. That's going to be a very interesting sculpt for them to do. But I'm happy to have this Build-A-Figure and add him in with the rest of my Serpents. So kind of ranking this wave from left to right here, my most excited on the left, and then least would be on the right. Orb is kind of moving up on this list because I may end up making some kind of a Ghost Rider specific display now that I've got a custom Carter Slade Ghost Rider that's waiting on a horse, and I've also got the Ramen Racer that's coming. So that's getting a little bit better. And then if you added the BAF to this lineup, he'd be somewhere around there. Thanks for watching. How do you rank these figures? Please comment below. Check out my Instagram and stay tuned for more customs.